When you started watching tennis, you had probably heard of Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, and maybe a few other names. This was definitely the case for me. Professional tennis was already fun to watch with just this information, but I found that it was much more interesting once I got to know all of the players. This video is only part 1 of my guide to various ATP players, so as long as you're not waiting for like Lilian Marcuse ATP rank 300, they'll probably be covered in a future part, as long as this one doesn't flop. Jannik Sinner. Sinner's the f***ing Terminator. No, really. He might as well be a robot, because he doesn't show any emotion, and his playstyle's like an algorithm. This dude is literally unbeatable, as long as it's not too toasty, because the sun is dead as his biggest op. I mean, Sinner's pretty much the definition of modern tennis. Serve big, and give absolute belt from the baseline. Andrey Rublev. If you've heard of Rublev, you probably know him for inflicting self-harm. Instead of smashing his racket on the ground, he smashes it on himself, which has caused bleeding before. Rublev is pretty much your quintessential baseliner. Lethal on both wings and a solid serve, but he's quite horrendous at almost everything else. No net game, no slice, and probably the worst mental game on tour. He seems to have hit a wall at Slam quarterfinals. Ben Shelton. Ben Shelton is a fan favorite and a fan most hated because he's very expressive on the court. A lot of people, including me, think he's a very dynamic and fun player to watch. Even though he's past college tennis, he still has that college tennis persona. Others think he's disrespectful, ruining tennis etiquette, and should act more conservatively or some bull. Like, seriously, one Sinner is great, but you can't tell me you want the whole tour to be as robotic as he is. Shelton has a terrifying serve, especially that lefty kicker. Tien. Tien is one of the players you might call the future of tennis. He's just turned 20 years old, is already a top 20 player, and he's a counterpuncher in an era of aggressive baseliners. His shot selection and tactics are top tier, which is something atypical for younger players who often opt for risky and unnecessary shots. His emotional maturity also makes some of the seasoned veterans on tour look like toddlers. The one thing holding him back is his serve, which adds up seeing as Tien is only 5'11". João Fonseca. Fonseca is the face of the new gen, not necessarily because he's the best, because according to the rankings, he's not, but because he's the most explosive and exciting to watch. The highlight of his game is his forehand, which he regularly hits at over 100 miles per hour. I'm just gonna say it, top 5 forehands on tour right now. He just needs some better shot selection. Alexander Zverev. Zverev has been getting overshadowed by others for pretty much his whole life. In his early years, he had to face the big 3. Now that they're gone, almost, he's Sinner and Alcaraz's bitch. For the longest time, people thought he would be the greatest tennis player to never win a slam, but he finally got one at the French. I mean, Alcaraz was injured and Sinner got his ass whipped in round 2 by fatigue after winning 6 Masters in a row, but I'm still really happy for Zverev. Zverev has the highest first serve percentage on tour, and in my opinion, he has the most aesthetic two-handed backhand of all time. Rafael Jodar. Rafa Jodar might be the most promising of the new generation. At only 19, he's ranked 23. Oh, also, he's only had like half a full year on tour. So far, his hardcourt season has been mediocre, but his clay season makes you think he's the second coming of Nadal. It's going to be interesting to see how he performs on grass in the rest of the hardcourt season. Francisco Cerundolo. Clay Demon. I don't know, that's all I really have to say about him. Kamil my something American commentator's worst nightmare. Like bro, 5 consonants in a row? Anyway, there are about a million clay court specialists, but have you ever heard of a grass court one trick? Well, it's this guy, whatever his name is. His clay and hardcourt results are kinda just depressing, but you could argue he's a top 10 player on grass. It just kinda sucks for him that the grass season was only 4 weeks of the year. Daniil Medvedev. Medvedev is in the top 2 for ugliest technique on tour, and he's not number 2. He's without a doubt a hardcourt specialist and absolutely despises clay. Medvedev is a tactician and often resorts to playing dirty in order to win matches. He's constantly at the center of controversy, and his nickname is the Octopus, which stems from his unusual technique. Benjamin Bonzi. I don't actually know that much about Bonzi, except for the fact that he somehow keeps getting matched up against Medvedev in the first round of slams and upsetting him. Lorenzo Musetti. Musetti is like a less aggressive version of Federer. He has a beautiful one-handed backhand and really makes use of that backhand slice. He has a really frickin' good forehand, and no match of his will ever look the same. Because of his all-court playstyle, he always seems to force his opponents to adapt to his game as long as he isn't playing too passively. Alexander Bublik. Bublik is one of the few players that falls into the entertainer category. He often goes for risky trick shots and underarm serves. While he does get angry a lot, it usually comes in the form of racket abuse, although he can also get into arguments with umpires, but rarely with his opponents. His game is mainly power-focused, but he plays very unpredictably and loves the drop shot. He's a bit of a streaky player, but has become more consistent within the past year. Novak Djokovic. He doesn't even need his own segment. He's the undisputed GOAT of tennis, and you know it. Anyone saying otherwise is objectively incorrect. Even though he's effectively a part-time tennis player and true unk, he's somehow still in the top 10. If tennis was like Pokemon, Novak's completed the national Pokédex. The only thing he could possibly want is that 25th slam, but really, who gives a shit when you already have 24? Tomas Mahach. The only thing I have to say about Mahach is that his shorts are way too short. Like, bro, chill. Runa's leg snapped off, you don't have any more competition. Taylor Fritz. Fritz is at the center of a lot of drama, mainly about his love life. He got married at 18, had a kid at 19, and then divorced a few years later. Then he began dating influencer Morgan Riddle, and they've just recently broken up after 6 years. Fritz's style can be summarized by his huge serve and power-focused game. However, he lacks natural athleticism and court coverage, which makes sense because of his 6'5" frame. Ugo Humbert. You've probably heard of the Ugo Humbert grunt controversies. His grunts are really freaking loud, and I'm convinced that he delays them on purpose just to mess up his opponent. He likes to take advantage of his wide lefty slice serve. Marin Cilic. Cilic is unk status and in his final year on tour, but his serve is as dangerous as ever. In my opinion, he's absolutely miserable to watch since there's an ATP rule that Cilic and Cilic only must bounce the ball 34 times before serving. Nicolas Basilashvili. Basilashvili only wants to win points on his own terms. I mean, seriously, you'd think he has childhood trauma because of how aggressively he plays. I'm straight up convinced he's depressed because he smashes his racket after winning the match and never smiles. Jokes aside, he's the most aggressive player I've ever seen. Even as a chronic qualifier warrior, he has the fastest backhand on tour in both miles per hour and rotations per minute. Bernard Tomic. When I said Rublev has the worst mental game on tour, I lied. That title belongs to Tomic, although he's almost exclusively on the Challenger Tour now. He's pretty much a huge meme and is known for tanking matches and retiring mid-match with some unsubstantial excuse. His nickname online is Lord Tomic. That's it for part 1 of the ATP player catalog. I know what you're thinking, where's Alcaraz? But don't worry, he's in part 2 along with Mahmoud himself. If you watch any of these players, maybe you'll get what I'm talking about. Like, if Mahach is playing, hopefully you'll agree that he needs to put on some pants. Anyway, comment down below if you agree with any of these player profiles. Part 2 coming soon.